Hello, hello, testing. Well, it seems this is working. Today is the 27th of June, and I am at Rotterdam Station on my way to England. As some of you might know, I'm a huge fan of Aphex Twin. And what you probably don't know is my huge love for indie movies. Like those road trip movies that people undertake as a journey of self-discovery. Well, this is mine, I guess. Or I hope so. I remember one of those movies. I forgot the name, but I'll insert it into the video. It was about a caretaker who was taking care of someone who couldn't walk and was paraplegic. I think that's the word. And the kid who was paraplegic wanted to see a few things in his life. He wanted to see a giant cow and a big hole. I have a big love for that movie. I love it. I love that movie. And I think that this is my indie road trip. Because I am going to Redruth, which is the place where Aphex Twin grew up. And I would love to see what inspired him to make those beautiful IDM songs. And Redruth is not a place with much going on in general. So in that sense, this is my hole. As I'll keep you posted. It has been a very fun journey so far. Someone got arrested in the train and it was delayed for like 10 minutes. So great start. Let's hope not many of those things happen. Maybe it will. And then I can at least put it in the video. Speak to you soon. It is still the 27th of June. And I am waiting until the check-in. I don't know if I can call it that even. Because I'm not flying by train, but it looks like it. It is still going to take a while until they open the gates, I think. I have to admit that I'm pretty nervous. COVID has made me into a bit of a hermit. And I'm also nervous about what I can find at Redruth. If it's even going to be worth it to go there. It might be very boring. But then this video probably wouldn't exist. It is still the 27th of June today. I just spoke to some older British people and I was surprised that they knew who Aphex Twin was. So it's more of a household name than I expected. That's all. It is still the 27th of June and I just arrived at London and I can't tell you how great it is to smell the soot-filled air that surrounds me and know that I'm finally out of the Netherlands. Can't wait for my adventure to continue. I have like 2 hours to get to Paddington Station, so should be plenty of time to maybe grab some food as well for dinner. Maybe do some extremely minor sightseeing. Because I don't think it's going to take 2 hours to get to Paddington Station from here. Which is St. Pancras International, by the way. Anyway, speak to you later. It is still the 27th of June. And I am sitting on the floor at Paddington Station. Waiting for my next train. From, I believe it's the Great Western Railway. I do have to say, you people in the UK have a ridiculous amount of privatized railway services. Very hard to understand as a foreigner. That said, also general tip, do not put your phone next to the easily demagnetized ticket that you buy. Good to keep in mind. I am currently eating digestives as dinner with a red Fanta that I don't know of and some other candy. So, all in all, great start to the vacation. Very happy. It's still the 27th of June, and I finally arrived in Plymouth, and it has been a journey. It's currently 11 o'clock now, maybe even 12 o'clock, and I've been awake since 6. So, not very talkative, but I did promise that I would try to do this every time I had something to say. The train to Plymouth was amazing in the sense that I met someone, Nick, a university lecturer, who was very into David Bowie. He went to a convention of David Bowie and had many amazing stories to tell. But it was mostly also someone who I could talk to about making music. He has been into making bands with friends before. He has been in studios. He even knows what Pro Tools is. So that means that he at least spent quite a bit of time or money on making music. It was a very good time, very good way to spend the trip to Plymouth. I'll try to make a quick video before going to sleep, showing off all the things here. It looks nice. It looks a bit old, but that's what I like. So it's okay. I had a long bath, so I feel really refreshed, and I think it's time to go to sleep. Good morning. It's the 28th of June, and I'm currently sitting here in my in a hotel. I need to check out at 11, and it's 8:30 at the moment, so I still have some time, but I think I might check out early. I had some delicious breakfast. I can't imagine having a sausage in the morning, but that aside, I'll keep you posted. Today is going to be the day that I am going to Redruth, so that's fun. The reason I walked down here was pretty much so I could smell the sea. It has been a while since I've seen the sea, and I honestly have missed it. I do wonder if I'm going to find something special at the beach where the album cover for that Polygon Window album was taken. It is the 28th of June, and I'm currently sitting in the Great Western Railway service to Penzance, and it stops at Salt Ash, St. Germans, Liskeard, Bodmin Parkway, Lostwithiel, I think, Par, St. Austell, Truro, and Redruth. And I might be wrong, but I do recognize some of those names as track names. But I'll need to look that up. Just in case, I'll maybe take a video of it as well. Hope you could hear what I said right there. It's still the 28th of June, and I'm still in the train to Redruth. But I have been thinking while looking outside of the window and seeing sheep and, of course, the beautiful rolling hills, beautiful green hills shooting by. I think his process was very matter of fact. He used a picture of a friend, I believe, who designed the Aphex Twin logo as the picture for one of his pseudonyms, Bradley Strider. And in his interviews, he presents himself as very, well, I don't give a crap. He presented himself that way in his older interviews in 1994, around that time period. I wonder what I can recognize when I enter Redruth. And I presume that there will be people who have attended the parties, the acid house parties that happened in and around 1995. It's gonna be fun. It does feel like I'm on a pilgrimage, which is weird. Since I don't know if there's going to be any holy sites to keep in that analogy, but I'll keep you posted as always. It is currently the 28th of June, and I just did something incredibly awkward. At least it felt like that to me. And I thought I'd get it out of the way right away. Hi, it's me, Dan. Sorry to interrupt you in the middle of the video, but I need to add a few things to Past Dan. So, Past Dan didn't think that it would take so long to edit a huge video launched so far on the channel. So, all the dates mentioned in this video are from 2022. Keep that in mind. Also, I think I forgot to tell you the most important part of the trip, actually, in any of the recordings. So what you need to know is that there was a map that a good friend called Bucket Lord on Discord told me about that basically showed pins on Google Earth where of like the song names of Aphex Twin and how they correlate to real life places. That was basically the reason why I considered going on this trip even. So yeah, that's about it, I think. So enjoy. I don't think I have anything else to add. So I went to Redruth School and I recorded it for the length of the song. Might have multiple angles, I'm not sure yet. But 3 people walked by and I was formulating an answer in my head of what I would say if they asked any questions. But an Aphex Twin documentary is probably accurate and not a lie. For personal experience, I think that the walk was more impactful than seeing the actual school. But it is a school, like any other. I didn't expect it to be blue. But I also don't know if these buildings were around back then when he was studying, whether they have been replaced. But yeah, it does. I do wonder though. I wonder if Richard chose that name for that song because he had fond memories of that school. Because the song is very playful and odd, weird, but happy, I'd say. Content, at least. Maybe he isn't as balls to the walls, or maybe he isn't as not caring as he might seem. I'm on to the second song location though. Speak to you later. Hi, it's still the 28th of June and I'm currently in, and I'm going to butcher this name, Plen Angwadi, because Aphex Twin has made a song, a Ventolin mix to be precise, of which he said that it was the Plen Angwadi. Again, I'm sorry for butchering the pronunciation, but he said it was that mix. And surprisingly, there is a Wikipedia page about the place in Redruth, because the name derives from the Cornish Plen Angwadi, meaning playing place. An open-air performance area used historically for entertainment and instruction. From what I'm seeing here, there's not much of that. So, there was actually an area that was quite depressing to be in. I'm currently in a more greener area of the street, pretty much, because it's not much bigger than a street. I don't think this is a space for playing. There were a lot of elderly, and people were looking at me more weird than when I was filming school. They thought I was very lost. But no, I came here on purpose. So, weirdly, I do think that the song fits more with the place than Redruth School. Because the mix that he made is pretty depressing, to be honest. But fun to see the place in real life. And again, I have this weird sense of surprise that it is an actual place. So that's that. I'll check in later. It's plain and gory. I just asked a random person on the street, so the more you know. So it's still the 28th of June, and I just visited to the place I'm staying, and I bought some fish and chips. There was a very nice older lady behind the desk at the shop near where I'm staying, and there was a younger woman as well. I think she was my age, maybe a bit younger. And I took the chance to ask them, have you ever heard of Aphex Twin? And they looked at me as if I was pranking them. It's funny though, because I asked two other people who were both from London, and they both knew who Aphex Twin was. And it's very funny to me that people in the place he grew up in have never heard of him. I don't know if this is going to be the conclusion already of the trip, but I feel like Redruth is kind of like a shell that a hermit crab lived in, named Richard. And when Richard left, the shell weathered and changed shape a bit, which makes sense. It has been quite a while since he lived here. I do feel there are some traces of the time period that he lived in here, but it might be minor. Well, I'll ponder on that one a bit more. So I'll get back to you again. I'll eat my fish and chips, have a beer, and have a good time. Speak to you later. So it's the 29th of June, and I just spoke with a gentleman at breakfast, a balding gentleman with glasses. He was here for a funeral of his friend's mom, and I did offer my condolences, of course, but it didn't seem like she was very precious to him. I should probably put that another way, but he seemed to be mostly here to catch up with old acquaintances due to the funeral. We had a lovely chat at breakfast. He's just staying here for one night, and he talked about how Redruth was a very bustling city in the 80s, and then it steadily declined until what it is now today. So that implies that Aphex Twin was at the beginning of that decline, and that it has continued. The gentleman had a very good way to put the development. He said that the places around here were places without a purpose, because Redruth was at some point apparently the richest place in the world, because it was a mining town, of course. That's not the case anymore. I think that maybe that can be found in his music as well, but that's me reading very deeply into it. So, but I'll get back to you. Funnily enough, small addendum, he was the first person who knew who Luke Vibert was, but he didn't know who Aphex Twin was. It is still the 29th of June, and I'm currently preparing to go to Granite Pit. That is the place I wanted to see, pretty much. I think I'll take in the sides, record some stuff there, and if I can, if the weather agrees with it at least, I'll sit down and compose some music on the Volca sample that I brought with me and probably record that. I might be hyping it up too much, but I think this is going to be the highlight of the trip. Just because I've seen that John Peel interview so many times where he sits with Aphex Twin and Luke Vibert in Granite Pit. And of course, because of the Collapse EP, that place is really special to Aphex Twin in his discography, in my opinion. Hello again. I'm currently at the next stop of my journey, the Lynn Meary track that was made by Caustic Window. And I believe that Aphex Twin did have some history about Lynn Meary as well. I should have probably looked up why every house has a different name, but my guess is that it's the last name. It would make sense, but I'll have to look that up or ask someone later. The point on the geographical map led me to like a white house with an older gentleman living in it. I didn't try to bother him because it seems weird to walk up to someone's door and ask them, "Hey, do you know Aphex Twin?" It might just be their son if the parents are still alive. That seems a bit weird. In general, I feel a bit weird about being here. It seems very private and like I'm intruding on someone's private life. But I'm not bothering anyone. Again, it's a weird experience to see the track name and listen to the song at the place that it's named after. If the name is anything to go up by, the Garden of Lynn Meary, the garden is very chaotic, which is funny. I think in part he probably chose it because it's a funny name, but the garden is very overgrown. And if its tenants are anything to go by, it might have been that way as well, years and years ago. So fun experience. Definitely not as aggressive in person as the track sounds, but I think it's onward to the next song. I would have hoped to talk to some people about like this place because it might just be that he lived here somewhere, maybe at the White Building, with the old man inside. I am currently walking to Granite Pit and I stopped along the way to buy a Cornish pasty, which was recommended to me by the bald man who was visiting here for the funeral. And there was a guy behind the table, and he of course asked me what I wanted, and I said, well, give me the traditional one, please. And I also asked him, well, have you ever heard of Aphex Twin? And he's the first guy who lives here who actually said yes. Incredible. He was actually a DJ before COVID, and he said that there was quite a scene with drum and bass and house music around this area. And apparently I'm not the first person to do this kind of trip. He recommended to go to Portreath Harbor because one of the track names is that. Guess I'll have to do that. But then the most incredible thing happened, and he told me that he's actually seen Aphex Twin around in Falmouth, that he still lives here. Which blew me away. He just casually said, oh yeah, I saw him walking around last year. Absolutely bonkers. So, guess I'll have to go to Falmouth as well. Man, I didn't expect that while buying a random pasty. That was an incredible conversation. The last part of the walk to Granite Pit has been absolute hell, because at some point the path just stopped and I needed to continue on the track, on the road, where cars drive 50 miles per hour, which isn't fun. I did that for a very small part, but then I managed to find a public footpath, as they very generously call it. It was 4 rocks jammed into the side of the road into a hill that you could climb up on. It was obvious that nobody has used that public footpath in years, because who would, except someone who goes on foot to Granite Pit. So, but at the moment, thankfully, I found some respite at a larger path that actually seems used with rocks and stuff, which is nice. So it's still the same day as my road trip to Granite Pit, and man, if you do this, rent a car or a bike, because this is not something you should do on foot. The road from Redruth to Granite Pit is filled with roads that have no footpath, and it seems quite dangerous. I did it anyway. I don't know how I'm going to get back, but currently in the city of Carharrack, I think that's how you say it. And I was planning on skipping this one because it seemed far away from Granite, and I presume Granite Pit was next to Granite, as the name implies. But actually, Granite Pit is directly next to Carharrack, so I still have a mile to go. It was 2 miles from Granite, so still have a way to go. My feet hurt. I'm very tired, but I'll press on, because really Granite Pit is the most important part of this journey for me. Can't wait to be there and experience space. And I think I'll get some inspiration from here. There has been like some buildings here in Carharrack that seem inspiring as well. All the buildings seem similar, but I'll have to compare them to Plain and Quarry and the other places that have remixes named after them, like Redruth. I think there might be something with the colors as well, which would make sense since Richard has synesthesia, so he might interpret the colors of the buildings as sounds. But that's also me guessing. There's no way I can ever prove that. But an interesting idea maybe. And something I wouldn't have known before coming here. Anyway, that's all. I'll continue now that my feet have rested a bit. I'll keep you posted. I don't think I told the story yet, but when I was walking to Granite Pit, I'm still not there. I just passed the sign with a quarter mile remaining. But when I was walking toward Granite Pit, I took a public footpath with those 4 stones that I showed you, of course. I then accidentally double-backed down the road that I was trying to avoid, and I had to walk up that friggin' hill again, and then walk like a few miles to the place where Granite Pit is, so not Granite, Carharrack, I thought it was. But I tried to get a lift, and it's the first time I tried to hitchhike. I put up my thumb, and of course a goddamn bus passes the corner, and the bus driver is kind enough to stop, and he tells me, that's not the fucking direction you need to walk in, it's the other one. So that was really awkward. And I saw his disappointment that he couldn't help me. Kind man. People here are very kind here in Cornwall. They love to help. I asked for directions as well in Carharrack to Granite Pit. And a lady came back to me with a card to tell me that she gave me the wrong directions. So kind. Lovely place here. I think that if you're not an Aphex Twin nut job like me, there's not much to do here. But as an Aphex Twin nut job, I'm having a great time. Just walking around, seeing the sights, visiting the song titles. We'll see. So, first Granite Pit. I'll check in back again with you when I've arrived. I'm currently recording this under Granite Pit, and the sound might sound different because it's raining. at the moment, so I'm sitting under my umbrella. I can't describe to you how incredible it is to be here. This is a truly historic site, but not for the reasons the visitor center wants to say it to you. I expected to have that the Granite Pit would have more acoustics, since it was built by early Methodists as a sort of amplification amphitheater, but the sound is very muffled, which is surprising. I'll try to do some impulse responses though here, since that's something I will use in songs, even if it's not very noticeable. It sounds incredible here. It looks incredible here. I'm very tired, don't mind me. It was a large hike to get here. I'm sitting currently in the spot that Aphex Twin was sitting in the John Peel interview. And that is very special. Incredibly special. Knowing also that Aphex did parties here, and I can imagine why. There's a visitor center now, but I can imagine that in the evening nobody is here. Maybe there was no visitor center back then. So it's pretty far away from everything. I'll eat some cookies in Granite Pit, wait for the rain to pass, and try to do those impulse responses that I was talking about. Speak to you later. Hi again. I'm still at Granite Pit, and I have just talked to the people in the visitor center. Lovely people. One of them gave me a cup of coffee. That really helped me to get myself back together from the trip. I asked them a few questions as well about the history of the pit, and it turns out that the Methodist preacher, I think it is, who built this place, spoke at the stones that I took a picture of, and he spoke to the people in the pit mostly because he wanted shelter from the wind. Because I told them that I was surprised that there was really no audio amplification in the pit. You'd expect he wanted to be in the pit to have his voice be heard better. But I think it is because of the shelter from the rain. So, shelter from the wind, I'm sorry. Yeah. And it wasn't always like the steps like we know from the John Peel interview and the Collapse EP cover art. Apparently, there were no steps until like somewhere in the early 1800s. The steps were added, and in 1986, I think, the visitor center was added. So it's pretty old. In the John Peel interview, you can see him stand behind Luke Vibert. I think you can see him behind the globe, spinning it around, but that's not possible anymore. It's very overgrown. I also asked them about like more recent history, what they would call vandalism, that people came here to do parties, etc. Apparently, you can book Granite Pit for events and like weddings and stuff. Probably by the Methodist Church because they still own the pit. But it does still happen that people throw parties here illegally, and people who are just vrijwilligers, whatever that word is in English, they let them pass, they let them do whatever they wanted. And when they asked the coordinator of the pit, because there is a coordinator, hey, thanks for the entertainment, they asked what entertainment. So that might be the reason why they did the parties here. People probably don't ask questions. But great stuff. Really amazing to be here. The weather is turning around again. but really great to be at this historic site. Looking at the information boards at Granite Pit, I see an image that is very familiar, an aerial shot of the pit, and that I think it was Weirdcore probably used as inspiration for the cover art of the Collapse EP because it looks extremely familiar from up top. I think he probably used that one for reference material. It's really cool to visit the pit. A highlight of the trip, for sure. I'm currently walking through Gon Gumpas, I think that's how you say it, which is, of course, a famous track by Aphex Twin as well. It is a small settlement on a hill, and it is very open, very green. It doesn't seem as run down as the other area-specific track names that I visited. And I mean, with area-specific track names, I more mean like places that don't point to a specific location. Like Plain and Quarry, for example. It's very open and there's a lot of nature here, which, in my opinion, corresponds with the track. I'll try to take some footage, but honestly, I'll tell you, there's not much to be seen here. Nothing very special. It has been very hard for me to film the specific locations because I don't know what's important. So it's hard to convey that to you. I'll take a picture of the beautiful ruins in the area, but I don't think they're part of Golden Gumpas, but you can see them from a distance. I'll insert that picture here. Well, that's it for today. I just took a picture of a field that the map said was Golden Gumpas. I think it's more the area, and I think it's significant that it looks over a landscape of green and beautiful ruins in a muddied brown color. I think he might have gotten the inspiration to name them after these places because of the colors. I'm still working under that assumption. But I also think that if I were to tell him face to face that I did this, visited all these places, he would look at me and laugh at me. Because these places that he made so famous by naming tracks after them are usually no bigger than a street or two. I feel a bit silly coming here. But I'm also here with a smile on my face. This was a great idea for a holiday. I think I might have top-loaded the holiday by going to Granite Pit today and visiting like all these track names. Because we have like Portreath Harbor left. I might go to Falmouth for the off chance that I meet him. That's a very small chance, but I'd like to go there, as stated before, just to film it in case like a new album drops, just for myself. I might go to St. Ives, or like the other port where surfing on sine waves, the picture for surfing on sine waves was taken. I still have much to do, but I'm glad I did so much today. My legs hurt a lot. Why did I do this on foot? I could have rented a bike, but hindsight is 2020. I am slowly going to walk back to Redruth, back to the place I'm staying. I'll probably go prepare some dinner or buy some dinner and think about today. I've been thinking about the Collapse EP while walking back, and I've been thinking about how the Cornish houses appear in music video, for example, and how Granite Pit is like a centerpiece to the EP and the cover art, of course. I'm thinking if Aphex was writing about the collapse of the area and how people are moving away to London, etc. But that's something to research in the future. These beautiful chimney houses are incredible. I think it's noteworthy that they have been left in the landscape and are slowly taken over by nature again. And I've seen that more often in those small Cornish towns. Nature is trying to take back what was theirs at some point, and the people are okay with that, or they don't have the funds to fix it. But it leads to a very interesting aesthetic. So I don't think I agree with Richard in interpreting Cornwall. It's a lot more soft than he presents it, but I am missing a lot of acid, and I'm missing the people that lived here when he grew up. Because I asked many people, young and old, and only that one guy from the pasty shop knew who Aphex was and was a fan as well. I just arrived at Portreath Harbor. It's the 30th of June, and I just had a lovely trip in the bus. So I was waiting at Redruth at one of the bus stops there, and someone stopped, and I told them, "Well, I'm not waiting for your bus. I'm waiting for the bus that goes to Portreath." And they told me, "Oh, you're standing at the wrong bus stop. Let us take you to the correct one." And I just hopped on, didn't even need to pay a fare. I was very kind. It turns out my card isn't accepted here. So I'm glad I took cash with me. And, well, thankfully I could pay the people, and they offered to drop me off at Portreath even further than they needed to. Very kind people, lots of banter on the bus, and they stop for everyone who waves their hand. So great stuff. Very happy to be here. The houses look quite different from the places I've been so far, so that's something to keep in mind. Looks like there's no water in the harbor. It's quite smelly. Not too bad, though. Not too bad. It's very a sea smell. I need to turn on the track and listen to the place. I think this is going to be very special, which is unexpected. Anyway, speak to you soon. It's the 30th of June, and I'm still at Portreath Harbor, and I've been listening to the song quite a lot and walking around, and it fits with the place. It feels very impressive, Portreath Harbor. Much more impressive than Goompas or the other songs that I've visited, like the Plain and Gory remix. It feels peaceful here. The bus driver, as I might have said already, did warn me that it might be smelly, for example, if there was low tide. And you can smell something, but it's not that bad. And if I look at the walls, I see like many jagged rocks and like lines in them, crisscross along the rocks. And if I look at the houses, they seem much more organized, but again, with those different colors that I've spoken about before. What stood out to me was the murky water with the algae in it. It was very brown, and the iron chains that were like out of the water with algae on them. That seemed to represent the song the best, to me at least. And sometimes in the song you hear these flourishes like twinkling, and I think that might be the bright, beautiful blue sea with like the white foam, sea foam on them. This song really fits with this place, and I think this is going to be major inspiration for me. What I haven't seen in the song and what really made an impression on me as well, artistically, is the benches with the flowers on them for people who have passed away, and with the plates on them of who has passed away and why they really enjoyed this beach and sea. I might use that for like making an album. In general, I've seen that here in the area of Redruth and just Cornwall in general, it seems like religion, life and death, and getting older seem to play like an important part, which might seem depressing, but it seems peaceful too in some ways. So that might be something to use for the religious album that I wanted to make. I'll walk around a bit still, I think, and I'll get back to you again. One more addition. I just spoke to a gentleman as well who came here on holiday, and he comes here like 8 to 10 years already because it is so beautiful, and because he has an autistic daughter that finds it hard to settle at places. And he said that they come here because she's at home here. She likes it here. She likes coming here. Of course, I also spoke to him about like Aphex Twin, and he knew him, but he didn't know that there was a track named after this place. So he said he would look it up, which is funny. He really liked my idea as well of just recording and visiting all the places. It's much easier to explain to people if they know the artist. If they don't know the artist, they look at me as if water is on fire. I spoke to him as well about like the role of Cornwall in the UK and even the world. And I spoke to him as well what he thought about this, and he said that it's not only in Cornwall that is happening, like that stuff is moving away from Redruth, etc., but it is happening all over the world. He asked, what are we even making in the UK anymore that isn't produced somewhere else? Which is still in theme with early Aphex Twin, I think. I'll need to think about that a bit more when I'm home. And I'll have to spit through a lot of audio recordings. But that's that. I'll move a bit. Maybe I'll record like a bit of the sea. But it's very windy, so that might be hard. I'm currently walking up nearby hill from Portreath Harbor because it looked cool. It has nothing to do with Aphex Twin. I don't think he would have taken the time if he was here with family or with his mates to walk up this big fucking hill. But I want to just see the Cornish landscape. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but there's seagulls everywhere. I think I should move in the future to a place that has seagulls because it's so soothing to me with the sound of the sea and the sound of seagulls. I've used like seagulls often in my music, which is weird because I don't live near the sea. I just like the sound of seagulls. I wonder if Richard came here with his family, because it does look like a place that people would visit with their family. it doesn't look like a very expensive holiday to be here, especially if you live in the area. All the places I've been to that Richard names tracks after have been very small, and Portreath Harbor is no exception. You can visit it in like 10 minutes if you'd like. You can make the rounds. Of course, I took way longer because of making videos, taking photos, thinking. And I think I'm pretty happy with the elements I gathered here. With like Gongoompas and other tracks, there wasn't as much to focus on, which made it hard. And with some of them, I was really tired, so I just took a few pictures and left. So yeah, that's that. I'll continue on this track. It said it was a track of 8 miles. I'm not going to walk 8 miles on this hilly fucking hill. But I'll walk a bit because it's beautiful here. Just to really relax on my holiday. Speak to you later. The surfing on sine waves tracks fit beautifully with the scenery here at Portreath Beach. I don't think I need to go specifically to Chapel North. I don't think I'll find much there, to be honest. Chances are slim I can find like the precise place the picture was taken. Plus it doesn't really fit in the schedule. There's nothing else there. So I'd be losing a day to just go there. But to get back to the point, the surfing on sine waves tracks feel like very tribal, very monotone, very droney almost, but also jagged, with lots of transients, which makes sense with the terrain here, the sea eroding the terrain as well. There are many signs pointing out that you need to be careful about erosion, and that you might fall, because it's a steep cliff underneath, of course. So that's interesting. It just occurred to me that I haven't seen any thrift stores or record shops around. I did see like a bookstore, and I do remember that in an interview he said that there were no records and that he started to make his own music because of it. It is interesting to see that that's still the case, but of course, if that guy from the bakery is to be believed, there is still a scene here. They all have access to the internet, although it's very spotty, to be honest. Sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. Just wanted to mention that as well. At the start of this trip, I was convinced that IDM was formed by trying to push equipment, hardware to its limits. It was like a highly experimental movement in that sense, purely technical. But I think that definition on Wikipedia is wrong. I think mindset has a lot to do with it as well. The reason why you want to make like IDM, or at least in the case of Aphex Twin, it played a large role. And I think that his music was shaped by his synesthesia. He took like a bunch of inspiration from the landscape around him, but also the people. And the drugs probably, but I'll probably not include that in the video. Anyway. What I forgot to mention, the guy on the hill also said that people are more and more losing their houses because it's more profitable to put it on Airbnb and profit from it than hire to people. So people are being priced out of their own homes here. That might be relevant or not. Thought I mentioned it. Also, why are there so many dogs in Portreath? That's like a very particular thing that I saw. Lots of people with dogs. I just had one beer at the pub, I'm thoroughly fucked. I'm such a lightweight. Doesn't help that I've walked so much. I'm really tired, but still. She even asked, another one? Nah, thanks. I'm good. The people of Redruth seem to be hiding their garbage under like blankets, like wool blankets, fleece blankets. And I was very confused. Are they ashamed of their garbage? And then I saw a bag that said seagull proof. So that answers the question. It's the 1st of July, and I've just talked to Mary on the train. And she was a marine biologist who I just talked to in general, and she informed me that Falmouth thankfully has like other things to do as well, like a big art scene. It's even a concert on the beach with like ska music, but that's something to consider maybe as to going there. But I don't know if I can get back on time. She told me about like a pub called Beowulf, great name. That was lovely, pretty quirky, so that would be fun to visit maybe. And other than that, she lives here like for 4 years, and she came here because it's like really great to go scuba diving. Because it's like almost Mediterranean. We talked about like how animal populations are declining and how she would like to go to Antarctica with a research group. So that's really fun. Really cool person to meet on the journey. She was kind enough to show me to the right platform as well for like the train to Falmouth docks. So great stuff. I'm currently walking around in Falmouth, near Falmouth docks. And what I'm noticing is that there's a lot of maritime themes around here. Like I'm standing in front of the National Maritime Museum, for example, at the moment. Lots of young people as well, and it's in stark contrast with the other places I've visited so far in terms of the age of the people. Everything seems very well maintained as well. And the emphasis on history seems a lot less here. It seems very contemporary, very modern, everything. Lots of stores. It seems more rich as well than the other areas. I am currently also listening to the Drug Use album. And I must say it fits very well with the area. I can imagine that it might be some kind of album of accepting, becoming older, and yeah, it sounds like an album of acceptance to me. If I were to guess, and it's of course a guess, a new album might have maritime themes in it, but Richard hasn't been the kind of person to be very activistic in terms of the environment. He even made some NFTs of his work, if I remember correctly. I honestly think that in theme of all his other albums, it might be about people more than places, which makes my journey maybe a bit silly. But who knows? I'll take pictures anyway, since it's more like a mood board, this video anyway, for inspiration. Falmouth seemed to be a town of musicians, because I'm just walking on the main street, like the main touristy part of town, just besides the dock. I've already seen 3 musicians just busking. Not my music though, obviously. Still fun that they are here. No sign of Aphex though. And chances are slim, of course. It's still the 1st of July. And for what it's worth, the bartender did say that Aphex Twin used to play at house parties here in Falmouth. So at least he used to live here. They didn't know if he still lives here, to be honest. I was like thinking of going back to Redruth, but maybe that's too early. I don't know yet. I'll think about it. Also, something of note is that Falmouth apparently has this university, and the university is for the arts, like music and arts. So, one of the bartenders I spoke to actually studied architecture here, even. She was nice, but her shift ended, unfortunately. Just like a guy next to me who was like very depressed in life. I think I helped, so that's at least something. I could swear I saw him like past me. One more thing before I forget. The guy at the bar in, the place I visited today. Falmouth, thank you, Brain. He also said that loads of his friends sort of have stories about Aphex as well. I'd love to have had more time to talk to people, but unfortunately, that's the only piece of information I dug up there. It's the 2nd of July, and I pretty much ran out of Aphex things to do. Oh my god, it's a sea lion. I see a sea lion just now in the water. That's incredible. Well, and he's gone. Okay, well, that's not what I wanted to talk about. I don't know if anyone here has played Kenshi, but you have like these outer plains, as the space say, like the outer territories that are usually pretty dangerous, but I feel like I'm sitting at the end of the world at the moment. At a beautiful, like an aquamarine sea with rocks with moss and lichen on them, and the sea roaring in the background. And I'm thinking to myself that I should be more brave. More brave in my choices in life, because I usually choose for security. I'm a hard worker as well. But you can only get so far in life just by working hard. You need to be brave as well. I need to change jobs, to be honest. What to, I don't know. But I should get started on that the moment I get home. This trip was great. I go back tomorrow, so honestly this might just be my last entry. I think that Aphex Twin made his music for people and about people. And those people were shaped by the place they lived in Redruth and Cornwall as an area. I honestly think that in his later years he might just return to Cornwall, which he might have done already, considering the rooms in Falmouth. It is currently the 3rd of July, and I'm sitting on Redruth station to go back home, waiting on the train to London, Paddington. Arrives at 10:15. So still some time to go because it's like 8 at the moment, probably. So it's hard to describe what happened yesterday. I had pretty much written off that day since visiting St. Ives and finding out it was pretty much a tourist trap. I'd highly recommend going if you're a child, have children, or are old. If you don't fit in those categories, I would not recommend going to St. Ives. Because it won't be for you. There are better places to visit around here. So I was walking back to the station actually to just pick up my tickets. And I left like all my equipment at home. I left my field recorder at home. I left my camera at home. And just walked the couple of minutes that it took to get to the station. And from the corner of my eye, I saw an audio and video exhibition, which was odd because, well, of course, it's Redruth. I didn't expect to find anything like that. But I did, and I walked in, and I saw wonderful instruments everywhere, like Moog Theremin. I saw the Folktech Omnichord, which was crazy to see in real life and even play. and some other stuff, but mostly the video and audio projects that people around my age have done over there. I'll put a picture on the screen so you can see their names. And unfortunately, crap quality because, well, I didn't have my camera with me, so I only have my phone camera, which isn't great. But I was talking to all the people around there, and one of the guys there who helped organize it was called Liam. Apparently, like, pretty known around here. I'll need to look up the details who organized it, but was someone called Mark. I wrote down the name of one of his most famous movies in my phone, and he actually hosts an NTS radio show on which like the songs are going to be played as well, which is incredible. But I got to talking with someone called Kieran and someone called Jake, and they respectively, Kieran does like video editing work, and Jake is a professional photographer. And it was such a great experience because everyone I spoke to at the exhibition knew who Aphex Twin was, and Liam actually showed me one of the buildings that was also featured in a Collapse EP music video. I had no idea. He also informed me that the Redruth school that I shot for the video actually is the incorrect one, because the old one has been bulldozed in part. Like it doesn't exist anymore. He was kind enough as well to give me his email address, so I can ask him some questions, and he asked me very politely to send him the video when it's done as well. So I'll really need to put in the effort for it to look nice, because he knows what he's doing. So Aphex Twin was actually invited as well to attend the exhibition, but sadly he had like other things to do. But I was so close to randomly meeting him when I had pretty much given up on that day. Afterwards, I went to Kieran's place. He has a girlfriend called Em, and we had dinner over there. We bought some food at Tesco and some beers as well. And we got just talking about random stuff. For example, the fact that Kieran loves techno, has been to Munich as well, loves Munich as well. Jake loves Munich as well. They have been to like raves until 7 a.m. as he told me. And I mentioned all the places that I have visited on my Aphex Twin pilgrimage. I said like only place I haven't visited is like Chapel Port, because it was so out of the way to get there. And they were like, oh like, yeah, let's take you there. We wanted to go out for a swim anyway. So kind. So I did that, and on the way when I was sitting in the van with Jake, because he lives in the van, we even saw like a fox cross, but more importantly, there were like green and red fireworks, as if celebrating the end of this journey. And when getting there, the beach was extremely dark. I couldn't see any rocks at all, so not the surfing on sine waves cover art at all. But hearing the sounds of the Cornish Sea and knowing that this is, for me, a very historic site was enough. And most of all, I'm happy to have met the thing that I was missing most in my Aphex Twin pilgrimage, which honestly probably is the most important part. It's the people. The landscape, the culture has to do with that as well. But I think that mostly Richard makes music for people, and maybe even specifically for the people around here, about the people, which is cool. A conclusion I could have gotten at home probably, but realizing that Collapse EP is about the economic collapse of the area, maybe even like in part the social collapse of people moving away to like bigger cities like Bristol and London, and taking like a lot of stuff with them. That was important. Figuring out that Lanner exists, even as simple as just hearing the birds around here and recognizing the types of birds in the Aisatsana song. I really do feel that I've come closer to the music. I was like completely prepared for this to be a Dutch journey, where I said, well, he took the piss out of me and took me on a wild goose chase. But it was very meaningful. Very meaningful. Would I recommend coming to Redruth? Yes and no. I do get what he was saying in early interviews, that there's not much to do around here. And I asked like Kieran, Em and Jake as well, if they ever go to the pubs around here, but the scene is mostly in house parties and like the occasional weird thing with electronic music. And as like the guy in the bakery said as well, the scene has kind of died with COVID. They did mention actually that they were going to like a crazy party in like a super deep bunker that a guy built in response to people going to war in like with like Germany, and he does like crazy parties there now, which is incredible. And Emily did confirm as well that Richard does do like weird small gigs again, so it's the third person that I've heard say this. She even went to like a party on the beach and just randomly turned up to like play music there for like quite a small audience. That's also why I think that he makes music for the people, about the people. If he still does like small gigs in like Cornwall and even considered to come to just an exhibition in Redruth, that's something. That's quite something. He seems like a very down-to-earth guy from the second-hand stories that I've heard about him. We also walked up the hill at Chapelport Beach. There were many slugs there. Many didn't survive. It was a magical experience, a magical ending to the journey, looking over the sea at night, hearing the sea. Thanks, Redruth. I had a wonderful time.